Jose Aldo, an icon of mixed martial arts and one of the most influential fighters in the sport. Born on September 9, 1986, in the city of Manaus, in the Amazon Valley of Brazil, he grew up in a poor family, in a disadvantaged neighborhood plagued by violence and crime. Even within his closest circles, Jose didn't have many positive role models. But he proved to be a brave and determined young man. At the age of 4, he found himself in a horrific situation when he accidentally fell onto a hot grill during a family celebration. Although Aldo survived, he was left with a scar on his face. This event became a defining moment for his future career as a fighter. From childhood, Jose dreamed of a career as a soccer player, but after numerous fights in school, he decided to pursue martial arts and joined a capoeira and Brazilian jiu-jitsu academy. At the age of 17, he moved to Rio de Janeiro to start his career in mixed martial arts. Within a year and a half, he became the champion of a local organization and then signed a contract with WEC. Aldo won 6 consecutive fights and captured the championship title. After WEC was absorbed by the UFC, he remained the champion and continued to defend his title dominantly against most of his opponents. But this story is not just about the fighter Jose Aldo. It is also about a person who rose above poverty and violence to become one of the world's most renowned fighters. His family, his wife and daughter have always been his foundation and motivation. He continues to be in the fight because of them and for them. Aldo is known for his solid and incredible low kick technique, which often finishes fights before the final bell. He holds a significant record, and his impact on the sport is hard to overstate as he introduced the world to the Brazilian style of martial arts and set new standards for competition preparation. His incredible talent and perseverance have secured him a place in MMA history. In this video, we will witness the fights featuring Scarface. Through these battles, he not only wrote his own story, but also the history of the entire sport. Today, we will spend a few minutes shoulder to shoulder with a true legend, and words will be unnecessary. You will understand the greatness of this titan yourself and how fortunate it is that he is still with us, still fighting, and still achieving success. You are on the Sport Legends channel, and we're starting. Jose Aldo had his first professional fight against Mario Bigola in 2004. Aldo looked determined. He delivered a powerful high kick and swiftly finished his opponent with a soccer kick. The fight lasted only 18 seconds, and Jose showcased a confident debut in the professional arena. In his second fight, Aldo faced Hudson Rocha. Rocha wasn't a particularly notable fighter compared to Aldo's future opponents. The fight started with an exchange of low kicks. Jose decided to attack, leading to the fighters entering a clinch. They exchanged strikes and remained in the clinch. The fight started somewhat sluggishly, but the clinch was active. Aldo delivered a powerful flying knee, causing Rocha to fall to the canvas. Jose rushed to finish his opponent, but he couldn't capitalize. The fighters got back on their feet, but not for long, as Scarface once again knocked Rocha down. Rocha suffered a cut on his left brow. During the striking exchanges, Jose clearly appeared more impressive. The first round concluded, but the second round never began. The doctors prevented Rocha from continuing the fight. It was another victory for Jose Aldo, and it can't be said that he had a tough time securing it. On May 12, 2005, Jose entered the fight against Eritano Barbosa. The victory came swiftly. Aldo landed a successful combination of knee strikes directly to his opponent's head. He simply overwhelmed Barbosa, knocking him down to the canvas and following it up with powerful soccer kicks in the style of Wanderlei Silva. Thus, his opponent was knocked out, making way for the next challenge. In the summer of 2005, there was a fight against Anderson Silverio, a test of endurance for our hero. Jose immediately took control of the center of the ring, but received 2 precise soccer kicks in response after an unsuccessful high kick. The fighters exchanged low kicks. Aldo pressed forward, seeking the right distance, while Silverio attempted to take the fight to the ground. Unsuccessfully so, the fighters clinched in the corner of the ring. Aldo delivered a powerful low kick. Jose unleashed a brilliant series of strikes, completely dominating the fight. His lightning-fast punches and powerful low kicks left his opponent with no chance of victory. After a barrage of jabs and crosses, he landed a knee strike from the thigh clinch. Surgically precise low kicks made their mark, and Jose knocked Anderson off his feet. Aldo opted to strike his downed opponent with a jumping attack. It seemed that Aldo enjoyed playing the role of a superhero. He didn't rush to finish off his grounded opponent. Several well-executed kicks, and the referee intervened to stand the fighters up. Aldo delivered his trademark flying knee strike, something we had become accustomed to during the course of the video. Anderson did his best to defend himself and entered the clinch again. Scarface attacked with powerful punches and added a middle kick. After another attack from Jose, Silverio attempted to take him to the ground once more, but once again found himself in an unfavorable position, where Aldo easily punished him with strikes to his legs. Jose Aldo broke through Silverio's defense and unleashed powerful soccer kicks to the head. After such a display, the fight was not allowed to continue, and Anderson did not contest it. Jose demonstrated complete dominance, and this absolute advantage over his opponent was reflected in the fight's outcome, even though it lasted quite a while. In the fall of 2005, Jose Aldo entered the ring to face Mickey Young. Once again, Aldo took control of the center of the ring and delivered his signature low kick. However, he was caught by a left hook from Mickey. Jose quickly found his response, throwing crosses and a left hook of his own. Another series of low kicks from the Brazilian followed, and Young countered. Aldo unleashed a powerful low kick, while his opponent attempted a poorly executed low kick, which gave Jose the opportunity to unleash a barrage of strikes, ultimately overwhelming his opponent and forcing him to the canvas. It was a spectacular victory for Jose, and it happened in the first round, just as we love it. Jose moved to the featherweight category in October 2005 and met Luciano Azevedo there. The transition to the new weight class was not easy for the fighter, as he suffered his first professional career loss to Scarface. In this fight, everything seemed to indicate that the defeat column for Aldo would add an unpleasant mark. In the first round, Azevedo landed a solid right hook, which somewhat stunned Aldo. Then, in the second round, Azevedo took the back mount and secured a victory with a chokehold. The key to unlocking the Brazilian youngster had been found. This defeat did not break Aldo. Instead, it fueled him for new accomplishments. He learned from it, and in his next 3 fights, he pocketed victories. All 3 were obtained by unanimous decision, so they weren't particularly exciting to watch. It keeps getting more interesting. In 2008, at the World Extreme Cage Fighting 34 event, Aldo faced Alexander Franca Nogueira in the lightweight division. Pequeno had a reputation for finishing most of his fights early, so this was truly a competitive matchup. At the beginning of the fight, Jose took control of the center of the octagon, knowing he had to dictate the terms of the bout, and began his attacks with crosses and jabs, while Nogueira attempted to take the fight to the ground, hoping for a better outcome there. However, his takedown attempt was met with a knee strike. Jose continued his onslaught, while his opponent tried to defend himself with all of his might. The active and passive figures in the ring were clearly visible. There were good attacks from Jose, and Nogueira's attempts to bring the fight to the ground, but again, without success. Nothing changed until the end of the round. Jose kept pressing, and Pequeno tried to respond to his attacks. In the second round, Jose Aldo once again took control of the center of the octagon and continued his relentless pressure. Alexander Franca Nogueira attempted to take the fight to the ground once more, but only encountered a counterattack. After another unsuccessful attempt by Nogueira to bring Scarface down, Aldo gained dominant position and simply battered his opponent's face with punches and elbows. The referee had to stop the fight due to a brutal cut on Nogueira's forehead. There was no competition. Jose emerged victorious and showcased his improved form. Next up, we have a fight against Jonathan Brookins. At the start of the fight, Aldo takes his usual position in the center of the octagon and begins delivering heavy low kicks to slow down Brookins. Aldo lands a solid high kick, combining it with punches and low kicks. Brookins responds with occasional strikes to remind the audience that he's also there. Following a familiar and well-written script, Jose defends against his opponent's leg and launches a fierce barrage of punches. His hooks find their target, but Brookins withstands the hits well. The Brazilian's attacks are fast and powerful. But Jonathan has an interesting card up his sleeve. He initiates a clinch and attempts to throw his opponent to the ground. However, Jose quickly gets back on his feet. Jonathan throws a few solitary strikes, and Scarface catches him with a sneaky cross. By the end of the round, the Brazilian athlete dominates, while his opponent occasionally retaliates. The second round unfolds at a similar pace. Aldo maintains his pressure and controls the game, landing powerful low kicks accompanied by punches to the head. Although Jonathan becomes more active in this round, it doesn't grant him even temporary advantage. Fatigue in Brookins' legs becomes noticeable as Jose puts significant effort into targeting that area. The climax arrives in the third round. Aldo lands a right hook that knocks his opponent off his feet and swiftly starts finishing him off. After these strikes, the referee intervenes and stops the fight. Another impressive victory for Scarface, and a reminder to less attentive spectators of this sport that everything can turn around in an instant. January 2009 marked a new challenge for the hero of this video, Jose Aldo, as he faced off against the American fighter Rolando Perez. Although Perez may not have had a significant record, he had the desire to win. At that time, 3 out of his 4 victories came through submissions, so Aldo needed to be cautious. The fight began with a high-quality exchange of strikes in the stand-up game. Both fighters showcased their skills and delivered powerful blows right away. Jose's main weapon was his legs, which were constantly in action. Perez clearly lacked speed, while Aldo knew how to effectively capitalize on that. A well-executed turning kick from Aldo put him in a defensive position. Jose didn't allow his opponent to get close and took the initiative, displaying more accuracy. He unleashed an excellent combination that thrilled the audience. For a while, Aldo allowed Rolando Perez to showcase his striking arsenal, although it would have been worth trying to take the fight to the ground. However, with Aldo's right leg constantly loaded, consequently, Perez attacked cautiously and retreated after each assault. Perez attempted attacks from different angles, but still regularly fell victim to Aldo's leg strikes. Rolando would have nightmares about Aldo's right leg for a long time. The number of times it landed precisely on target was astonishing, and as the icing on the cake, Aldo finished the fight with a knockout knee strike. It's no wonder Scarface later received the award for knockout of the night. It wasn't just beautiful, it was a predictable ending to the fight. Adrenaline was coursing through Aldo's veins as he ran to celebrate his victory with the fans. Another stellar evening for Jose Aldo. 3 years of absolute dominance, and it's not over yet. 2 months later, in March 2009, Scarface faced off against the experienced and ferocious Chris Mickle, also known as Mad Dog. Although Mickle had more fights under his belt, he was another wrestler-based fighter against Aldo. On paper, it was expected to be a competitive match, but let's see how it unfolded. Jose attempted to strike in various ways to quickly find openings in his opponent's defense. The simplest observation was that Chris was not prepared for head kicks at all. His defense against such strikes was quite peculiar. Aldo sensed this vulnerability, starting with a jab to Mickle's head, followed by a knee strike, and then a powerful high kick. Mickle was drained of energy, and within seconds, Aldo swiftly secured the victory. Spectacular. Absolutely. It was time for more prominent names to step into the picture. 22-year-old Jose Aldo faced 25-year-old Cub Swanson, known for his exciting fighting style, technical prowess, and high-octane performances in the octagon. Both fighters saw this matchup as an opportunity to earn a shot at the title. And of course, there could only be one winner. However, this is the easiest fight to analyze. Comments are unnecessary. Just watch Jose Aldo's quickest victory in his MMA career. The conclusion is simple: the opportunity to fight for the title as soon as possible. And of course, it was the knockout of the night. 8 seconds and a step closer to the title. And here it is, the long-awaited opportunity to compete for the title, a moment that divides everything into before and after. Brazilian fighter Jose Aldo faces a significant figure in the sport as his opponent, Mike Brown. Currently, Brown's name is more associated with the achievements of Dustin Poirier and Amanda Nunes, having been their coach. But in the past, he showcased the true beauty of this sport himself. He was a strong and powerful fighter, possessing striking power and remarkable fighting instincts. Let's move on to the matchup between Jose Aldo and Mike Brown for the featherweight title. Immediately, there is a sense of a more serious status for both the fight and Aldo's opponent. Mike acts very calculated, not rushing into attacks, but always ready to counter at any moment. Within the first 30 seconds, both fighters exchanged powerful combinations. Now, Brown misses a low kick while attempting to deliver an overhand punch. After the first minute, Aldo becomes more confident in his actions. He moves forward assertively and frequently combines his strikes. Uppercuts aren't effective yet. It's a pleasure to watch Aldo's boxing skills. He looks very dangerous, so it's better not to expose your chin unnecessarily. Mike managed to land a few successful strikes, but then found himself on the receiving end. To keep the intrigue, he gets entangled in Aldo's legs. This makes sense, as he can wear down Scarface and tire him out near the cage. However, it doesn't yield any results, and the last minute is spent on the feet as the fighters exchange pleasantries. And here comes the second round, starting with powerful combinations of strikes. Jose proves to be more successful, forcing Mike to go down and hold on to the Brazilian's legs to slow him down. It's remarkable how Aldo manages to defend himself and escape from difficult positions. The end of the fight is approaching. Aldo manages to evade a head strike, pushing Mike to the canvas. With his strikes, he forces him to give up his back, but he doesn't utilize it as a basic grappler would. Instead, he employs a more brutal approach, landing strikes on the grounded target. Brown defends himself as best as he can, but his position is disadvantageous. The referee waits as long as possible, but ultimately stops the fight when he sees no chances of further rescue for the American. From this moment on, there's a new champion in the division, a champion who will defend his title multiple times until a fateful encounter occurs. Another attempt to take the champion's title was made by Armenian fighter Manny Gambarian. Prior to that, Aldo defended his title in a fight against Jurija Faber, which was ultimately decided by a judge's decision. As for Manny, he also managed to defeat Mike Brown in his previous fight, so there were no doubts about his ability to compete for the belt. The fight unfolded quite smoothly, in my opinion. The entire first round was memorable for the fighters exchanging short combinations and taking minimal risks. Jose also took some hits but remained resilient. Gambarian provoked his opponent and showed Aldo that he could attack. However, this psychological pressure did not make Aldo act recklessly. Towards the end of the round, Manny went for Aldo's legs, which could have been risky for him, but Aldo ran out of time to secure a knockout. It was time to move on to the second 5-minute round. I must say that Manny played his game with confidence and landed some solid strikes quite often. However, when you're fighting against Jose Aldo, one moment can make all the difference. And here comes an uppercut that lands right on target. From there, it was a finish reminiscent of the way Jose overcame Mike Brown, leaving Manny in a deep knockout. It was a very intense and brutal victory in a fight where the opponent never felt like a loser until the very end. Such a triumph becomes even sweeter from the satisfaction it brings. After Manny Gambarian, the Brazilian had 2 title defenses, both positive for him, but without impressive knockouts. And then came the first encounter against Chad Mendes at UFC 142, a symbolic title defense in front of his home fans in Rio de Janeiro. Before this fight, Chad had a solid record of 11 wins and 0 losses. Only when he faced the real champion did the American learn what it's like to have challenging fights. He rightfully earned the opportunity to stand opposite Jose, but as is often the case, reaching a title fight doesn't guarantee becoming a champion. The fighters exchanged low kicks, and sometimes Mendes attempted to catch the Brazilian off guard. Major respect to Chad. He took a precise uppercut but didn't let it kill the intrigue in this bout and refrained from simply giving up. Mendes made several attempts to grab the legs of Scarface and drag him into wrestling, but all in vain. He never managed to take Jose down, despite his quality attempts. He certainly adhered to all the rules of combat, wearing down Aldo's strength and leg endurance while delivering knee strikes. And then the last seconds of the first round arrived. You never expect to land such a knee in the final second of a round, but in this weight class, we've seen quite a few unexpected finishes. Aldo turns around and without wasting a single second, knocks out his opponent. That's how this fight ended. That's how Chad's undefeated streak came to a close. Yes, he will go on to defeat opponents easily, one after another, until he encounters Jose Aldo once again. Their bout will conclude with another victory for the Brazilian. Real UFC classic. Fight against the Korean Zombie. If for the Brazilian, it's another opportunity to defend his heritage. For Jung Chan-sung, it's a 1 in a million chance. Round 1. It can be called a battle of mirrors. In terms of fighting style, the fighters turned out to be very similar. Powerful punches and quality low kicks. But the round confidently belongs to the Brazilian. Aldo is fearless. In the final seconds, he goes all out with kicks, forcing his opponent to defend. Round 2. The Korean Zombie launches more attacks, but Jose proves to be more accurate. Jung has excellent technique and showcases his skills, but his defense is not as well developed, resulting in him receiving strikes of varying degrees of threat. As a conclusion, another successful takedown by Jose Aldo, which is quite unusual to see. The round ends on the ground. Round 3. Everything is following the same script, but then comes a leap from the Korean, and Jose easily turns it to his advantage. It could all end here, but the Korean Zombie manages to escape. Towards the end of the round, another leap and wow, this time it leads to something more productive. Aldo on the ground, but the Korean Zombie fails to capitalize on this risky move due to lack of time, and the round ends. The championship 5-minute round is ahead. Round 4. The challenger attempts to attack even more boldly because time is not on his side. Enter a trio of high kicks from Scarface, very spectacular. He puts his opponent on the canvas near the cage. The Korean Zombie is clearly not prepared to defend properly anymore and simply absorbs the strikes. That's the end of it. The champion remains the champion and prepares for new challenges. He will also claim victory in the next 2 fights, but through judges' decisions. There will be a second defense against Chad Mendes. And then, an epochal encounter. The Brazilian begins to suffer from injuries, preventing him from defending his title in July 2015. Preparation for the fight, press conferences, and tons of trash talk had started a little before that, and all because a new star appeared on the scene, whose light has yet to fade. No matter what his results may be, there's no point in delaying anymore. Next up is the final fight for today, a meeting against Conor McGregor. The path to the fight was a year long. A year filled with such a high level of psychological pressure that it's hard to imagine. We all know who Conor McGregor is. Besides being a high-quality fighter with incredible striking power and technique, he is also a showman with a capital S. The year of preparation for the fight was spent not only on training. Oh no, my friends, it was a year filled with various forms of trash talk directed at Jose Aldo. A champion like him had never found himself in such a position, so his attempts to respond seemed at least bizarre and unnatural. The Irishman brought the champion into his own mental field and defeated him there. One notable moment was when Conor managed to literally steal the title, and Aldo couldn't reclaim it. His security guards helped him. These athletes entered the fight with that mindset. The energy in the arena was something to hear and see. It perfectly matched the contender who looked like an adrenaline junkie. As for Jose, on that evening, just like throughout the year leading up to the match, he simply wasn't himself. The result was a humiliating defeat. Usually composed, self-assured, and in control of the fight, Aldo rushed forward in the first seconds towards McGregor's left hand, his power punch. All that remained was to react, and that's what he did. Just one punch, and everything that had been built over 10 years ended up in the trash. That's the essence of the greatness and pain of MMA. You can be a champion your entire career, but then a guy comes along and knocks you out in 13 seconds. So it's important not to forget that sports involve living people and their personal stories. Remember this every time you follow another title fight. You'll see two individuals who have dedicated their whole lives to this moment. Jose Aldo recently retired from MMA and is now building his sporting future in boxing, seemingly finding enjoyment in it. But what can we say about his career in mixed martial arts? With 31 victories and 8 defeats, Aldo's fame and accomplishments didn't return after his fight with the Irishman, but he certainly wasn't just a punching bag. His name already adorns the UFC Hall of Fame. Jose is one of the most decorated fighters in UFC history and was a two-time champion in the featherweight division. He achieved an incredible 7 title defenses, the most in UFC featherweight history. The 36-year-old Scarfist also had 18 wins and 11 finishes in the featherweight division, both records. However, Aldo's greatest achievement should not be measured solely by his impressive title defenses that lasted for years. Everything that came after that fateful defeat demonstrates the significance of his career and the greatness of his character. Many would have allowed that defeat to break them, but not Jose. He carved a path back for himself and even found success in 2 weight divisions. An absolute legend. We thank Jose Aldo for his career, and we thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already and show your activity in the comments section, and by hitting the like button if you enjoyed it. Let's follow together the exciting fights and personalities from the world of MMA.